Joining me from Cairo is Mona Eltahawy, columnist and public speaker on Arab and Muslim issues. Nice to see you this morning, Mona.
Hi, Melissa.
Now, I want to ask you first, just for viewers who have been watching at home, who have been seeing the images, is this a tinderbox that is about to get worse? Is this a growing movement, or is this sort of something that came up but is now largely over?
Right. First, I'd like to start by sending out my condolences to the family and loved ones of the 4 Americans killed in Libya and of the other people of various nationalities killed yesterday. At least 14 people were killed, and each and every single one of those deaths was utterly senseless and without any reason or purpose. So my condolences. I think what you're seeing, and having observed this now for the past 4 days, because it started in Cairo on Tuesday, is a kind of, I hope, a dying cry of a very desperate right wing. We're at a very sensitive time in Egypt right now. Our revolution began last year in January. We have a president who's trying to establish his position somewhere in the middle, and we have a group that is trying to establish themselves on the right wing. And you're having a similar situation in the US. We're coming up to elections now in less than 2 months. There's a right-wing fringe there as well. So you've got a right wing and a right wing, both minorities, both trying to provoke people, and a whole lot of people with very, sometimes legitimate grievances, but sometimes utterly senseless grievances being caught in the middle. As far as Egypt and other countries of Muslim majority populations are concerned, as a Muslim and as an Egyptian, I believe in not just the right to freedom of expression, but the right to offend. But I also believe in the right to protest that offense, peaceful protest of that offense. So whilst there are many people I know here in Egypt who are genuinely offended when anybody produces a film or cartoons, as in the case of Denmark in 2005, that are deemed offensive to the Prophet, they are truly hurt. I believe in that right to offend. If you want to go out and protest, go ahead, but do it peacefully. So what we've seen in Egypt especially over the past 4 days is a very violent reaction, especially yesterday and the day before.
Mona, let me ask you about exactly that, because I think part of what I hear you articulating is about that transition to what democracy and freedom feels like, that because I hear you that the offense is real, but the nature of how one would then respond to offense is part of the maturation of what a democratic society that allows freedom of expression is. Are these just the growing pains of democracy that we're seeing?
These are tremendously painful growing stages that we're going through, because we're still writing our constitution in Egypt. We're still trying to figure out the civil liberties that we've fought so hard for. The First Amendment that, I'm an Egyptian American. The First Amendment that I am so happy to use in the United States to defend my rights as a Muslim. We want something that defends our rights here in Egypt, the rights of everybody. But when I try to explain to people this very strong anti-US sentiment, I tell them, remember, and I've said this on your show before, that 5 US administrations supported a dictator here in Egypt who was very happy to deny us the rights of that First Amendment, the right to freedom of worship and the right to freedom of expression. We have a sizable Christian population in Egypt. They deserve the same rights to worship and freedom that I have as a Muslim in the United States. These are the things that we're struggling over in Egypt. These are the things that so many people paid a high price for, not just here, but in Libya, in Yemen, in Syria, where thousands of people have been slaughtered by the Assad regime. The last thing we want in Egypt is this revolution that we started last year and that continues to be derailed by a right wing in the United States and in Egypt. We do not want, for example, a state of emergency. There is serious talk of an emergency law being returned in Egypt. We fought so long to get rid of that. So this is a very sensitive time. And also, as an American citizen, I don't want President Obama to be stuck between 2 right wings. I don't want here in Egypt for us to be hijacked by a right wing that is jockeying for power with a president. President Mohammed Morsi belongs to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood during the Mubarak dictatorship was the right wing. Now, the ultra-conservative groups who called for the initial demonstration on Tuesday, they're the right wing. So you've got a very sensitive political situation where people are muscle flexing and you get anti-US sentiment and religious offense being used as cards to move people. So this violence, over the past few days, no one knows who these people are, and everyone is wondering, when is this going to end? Because we want to get on with social justice and fighting poverty. This is what our revolution fought for.
That's right, the work of building democracy and moving towards egalitarianism. I appreciate, Mona, it's pretty extraordinary how you can do such a lengthy history and complex political economic discussion in so few minutes. And I always appreciate your work. Stay safe there in Cairo, Egypt, and we'll hear from you again.
Thanks, Melissa.